ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नाम श्रेष्ठं मनमपि शचिपुत्रमत्र स्वरूपं रूपं तस्याग्रजपुरपुरीं माथुरीं गोष्ठवाटिं राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरमहो राधिका माधवाशा प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथितकृपया श्रीतुं तं नतोऽस्मि। नमस्ते गुरुदेवाय सर्वसिद्धिप्रदायिने सर्वमंगलरूपाय सर्वानंदविदायिने। First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmati Guru Pad Padma Nikila Pratijat Guru Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then offer obeisances at the lotus feet of Trindi Sannyasi Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Dandi Maharaj, Namnishta Santa Shri Aniruddhas Prabhuji, all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are gathered here for Caitanya Caritamrta class. Please accept my humble obeisances. So, we are discussing Shri Caitanya Caritamrta, which is a very excellent scriptures, and this particular scripture explains the glories of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful incarnation. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurav Krishe Namaha. So, we are worshipping Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, 1.4.26 आमिया न जानी तहा न जाने गोपिकान दुहार रूप गुणे दुहार नित्य हरिमन. Amiha means I, na jani shall not know, taha there that, na jani will not know, gopi gana the gopis, duhara of the two, rupa gune the beauty and qualities, duhara of the two, nitya always, hare carry away, mana the minds. Neither the gopis nor do I shall notice this, for our minds will always be entranced by one another's beauty and qualities. In the spiritual sky, the Vaikuntha planets are predominated by Narayan. His devotees have the same features he does, and the exchange of devotion there is on the platform of reverence. So you'll see that in Vaikuntha, there is so much reverence there out there. And the mood of awe and reverence is very prominent there. So, actually, Raghunath Das Goswami has told us, Asad Varta Vishya Visujamati Sarvasvaharini Katha Mukti Vyagrya Na Shunu Kila Sarvatma Kilani Api Tattva Lakshmi Pati Rito Yomanenim Raje Radha Krishna Swaprati Manidotam Bhajanana. So don't discuss unwanted talks, Prajalpa, that we should not engage in gossiping at all. Asad Varta Vishya Visurjamati Sarvasvaharini Katha Mukti Vyagrya. That this particular Katha of liberation we should not hear. She is compared to the tigress. Katha Mukti Vyagra Na Shuruk Sarvatma Kirani Api Tattva Lakshmipati Yuto Vyomanenim Braje Radha Krishna Swarati Manidotam Bhajanam. But we should worship Radha Krishna in prayers, because if we meditate too much on Vaikuntha pastimes, then we land in Vaikuntha, which is the land of awe and reverence. So therefore, we have to associate with the like-minded devotees. But among all these Vaikuntha planets is Golok or Krishna Lok, where the original personality of Godhead, Krishna, fully manifests his pleasure potency in free loving affairs. Since the devotees in the material world know almost nothing about these affairs, the Lord desires to show these affairs to them. In Golok Vrindavan, there is an exchange of love known as Parakya Rasa. Parakya Rasa. It is something like the attraction of a man to the relationship is most abominable, because it is a perverted reflection of the Parakya Rasa in the world, where it is a kind of loving. So Parakya Rasa, Jaya Jaya Ujjwala Rasa, Sarva Rasa Sar Parakya Bhavetaha Brajite Prachar. So this Parakya Rasa is the mood of Brajaramanis actually. That is they have. For example, Rasacharya Srila Rupa Goswami has described three types of Naikas in Ujjwala. There are three types of heroines, namely Sadharani, Samanjasa, and Samartha. So Kubja of Mathura is in the category of Sadharani Naika. She is actually Sadharani, ordinary heroine. The queens of Dwarka, such as Rukmini and Satyabhama, are known as Samanjasa, and the Brajagopis are called Samartha. Their Rati is called Samartha Rati. Among these heroines, the queens of Dwarka have been called associates in the Swakiya aspect of Madhuras. So there is one ras called Swakiya ras and Parakiya ras. Swakiya ras means that wedded love, husband and wife's love. And the Vrajaramanis have been called as associates of the Parakiya aspect of Madhuras. So what harm is there in accepting Sita Devi, the queens of Dwarka, to be associates of Swakiya Madhuras? So actually, this question was asked by Gurudev to Param Gurudev. Actually, Gurudev said that you don't have the capacity to assimilate these profound conceptions at present. This will not be accessible to you now, even if I tell you. Wherever there is affection imbued with Aishwarya Bhav, a mood of awe and reverence, only Dasya Prem predominates. Even if there is a little trace of awe and reverence, then there will be only mood of servitorship. So pure Madhurja Prem is completely bereft of Aishwarya Bhav and appears to resemble the love between bosom friends in this world, Laukika Sambandhavat. The affection of Lakshmi, Sitaji, and the queens of Dwarka for their respective Ishtadevs is imbued with the highest Aishwarya Bhav. They have no pure Madhurja Bhav and are always in Sambram Bhav, a mood of awe and reverence. Thus, although the affection, the Preeti of the Mahishis is somewhat more elevated than of Dasya Bhakta such as Hanuman, Arjuna and Uddhav, their Bhav cannot be called pure Madhurja Bhav. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Thakur have presented a beautiful assessment of this subject in their respective commentaries. This is why Sri Caitanya Caritamrta has emphasized the special importance of Gopi Prem. Only when one has performed bhajan for some time under the guidance of pure Vaishnavas can one realize those profound subject matters by their mercy. So you see that this Parakya ras of the gopis is the true Madhurya ras. Even Swakiya ras of the Dwarka Ramanis is not so great. This is what the conclusion is that. That's why our aim and object, the Goswamis have told the same thing. The conception of being a maidservant of Sri Radha is described in the following words of the Goswamis. So we want to become maidservant of Radha in this particular melo. So the Goswami's prayer is like this: Abhimanam parityajya prakruta vapuradishu Shri Krishna krupaya gopi dehe vraje vasamyam Radhikana churu nadhikanu chali bhutva paraki arase sada Radha Krishna vilaseshu paricharyam karomyam. After giving up false identification with this material body, may I obtain the body of a gopi and reside in Vraja by the mercy of Sri Krishna. Becoming a maidservant of Sri Radha, may I always serve and attain Radha and Krishna, who enjoy pastimes of paramour love, parakya rasa. So our aim and object is that same parakya rasa. Stula dehadite atma buddhi parihari Krishna krupa shraya nitya gopi dehadhari Kabe ami para kiya rase nirantara Radha Krishna seva sukha laviva vistara. So here, as long as the sadhaka identifies himself with the material body, he cannot enter the kingdom of bhajan. Only after one has rejected all kinds of false identities pertaining to the body, such as I am a Brahmana, I am a Kshatriya, and pertaining to characters such as I am so qualified, I am rich, I am a scholar. Not only after he becomes more humble than a blade of grass, and prays with extreme distress, is it possible to obtain Krishna's mercy. All types of anarthas, aparadhas, and abhimans, false identifications can only be eradicated by good association, satsanga. So we should weep and pray in a distressed, humble voice. O Sri Krishna, O Sri Radha, Gopi Dehe Vraje Vasamyaham. When will I obtain such mercy as to reside in Vraja and become the Dasi of the Dasi of the Dasis of Radhika? When will I eternally serve your Parakya Vilas? Day and night. So our aim and object is that. Parakya se sada. The scriptures establish the preeminence of the Parakyaras of Raja. By serving Sri Radha Krishna in the mood of wedded love, Swakiya, one will attain Golok Vrindavan, and by serving in paramour love, one will attain Braja Vrindavan. The absolute innermost chamber of the Golok Dham, where Sri Radha Krishna's Nikunja Leelas take place. There, the Manjari Sakhis, being endowed with Ullas Rati, much stronger affection for Radha than Sri Krishna, are topmost. They render service to Rasakeli Leela Vilas and in the secular groves without any hesitation. Shri Goswami says in Braja Vilas Tava, Tambularpana Padamardana Payodana Visara Divir Vrindaranyam Maheshwarim Priyataya Yasto Shayanti Priyam Prana Preshta Saki Kuladapi Kila Sankochita Bhumika Kili Bhumi Shrupa Manjari Mukhata Dasika Samshtaye. I take shelter of the maidservants of Srimati Radhika, of whom Rupa Manjari is prominent. Unlike the Prana Preshta Sakhis, they can perform any service without hesitation. They perpetually and affectionately satisfy Srimati Radhika by their various services, such as offering tambula, massaging her feet, bringing her water, and arranging for her tryst with Krishna. So this Parakya Ras is actually the aim and object of life. So Srila Gurudev has confirmed this. So while performing Shringar Rasa Upasana at the time of sadhan, the living entity should serve Sri Radha Krishna under the guidance of Srimati Radhika's eternal Sakhis. Conceiving oneself as a paramour, one's aspiration should be to take birth in the home of Vraja Gopi, marry a specific Gopa, and remain a childless Gopa Kishori. This Kishori, whose mood is Parakya Bhav, is a female sadhaka with an intense yearning to serve Shri Krishna under the guidance of Shri Radha. When this bhav is perfected, one attains Gopi bhav. So, here in Caitanya Caritamrta, those who are actually great souls, Mahatmas, are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, always engaged in the service of the Lord. They are under the care of Devi Prakriti or Yoga Maya. So, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha, Devim Prakriti Mahashita, Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jnatva Utarim Avvayam. So, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha. Krishna is telling that those who take shelter of my higher Prakriti, my Bhakti, they are not ordinary person, Devi Prakriti. So, they are under the shelter of Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya. Those under the spell of the material energy cannot at all appreciate the activities of Yoga Maya. For a conditioned soul can hardly understand the pure reciprocation between the Lord and his devotee. But by executing devotional service under the regulative principles, one can become very highly elevated and then begin to appreciate the tellings of pure love under the management of Yoga Maya. In the spiritual loving sentiment induced by the Yoga Maya potency, both Lord Sri Krishna and damsels of Vraja forget themselves in spiritual rapture. By the influence of such forgetfulness, the attractive beauty of gopis plays a prominent part in the transcendental satisfaction of the Lord, who has nothing to do with the mundane sex. Because spiritual love of Godhead is above everything mundane, the gopis superficially seem to transgress the codes of mundane morality. This perpetually puzzles mundane moralist. Therefore, Yogamaya acts to cover the Lord and his pastimes from the eyes of mundaneness, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says he reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. The acts of Yogamaya make it possible for the Lord and the gopis in loving ecstasy to sometimes meet and sometimes separate. These transcendental loving affairs of the Lord are unimaginable to empiricists involved in the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, the Lord himself appears before the mundaners to bestow upon them the highest form of spiritual realization and also personally relish its essence. The Lord is so merciful that he himself descends to take the fallen souls back home to the kingdom of Godhead, where the erotic principle of Godhead are eternally relished in their real form, distinct from the perverted sexual love, so much adored and indulged in by the fallen souls in their diseased condition. So basically, the Radha Krishna's pastimes, they are completely transcendental. They are completely transcendental. Um, they are not nothing to do with this material world. A person who actually understands what Rasila is will certainly hate faintly mundane sex life. For the realized soul, hearing the Lord's Leela, Rasa Leela, through the proper channel will result in complete abstinence from the material sexual pleasure. So this is good idea. Next verse. Dharma chhadi rage duhe kare milan, kabu mile, kabu na mile, devera ghatan, dharma chhadi. Giving up religious customs, rage in love, duhe both, kare do milana, meeting, kabhu sometimes mile, they meet, kabhu sometimes na mile, they do not meet, daivera of destiny, ghatana, happily. Pure attachment will unite us even at the expense of moral and religious duties, dharma. Destiny will sometimes bring us together and sometimes separate us. The gopis came out to meet Krishna in the dead of night when they heard the sound of Krishna's flute. Srila Rupa Goswami has accordingly composed a nice verse, see Adi Lila 5.2.24, that describes the beautiful boy called Govinda standing by the bank of Jamuna with his flute to his lips in the shining moonlight. Those who want to enjoy life in the materialistic way of society, friendship, and love should not go to the Jamuna to see the form of Govinda. The sound of Lord Krishna's flute is so sweet that it has made the gopis forget all about their relationships with their kinsmen and flee to Krishna in the dead of night. By living home in that way, the gopis transgress the Vedic regulations of householder life. This indicates that when natural feelings of love for Krishna become fully manifest, a devotee can neglect conventional social rules and regulations. In the material world, we are situated in designative positions only, but pure devotional service begins when one is freed from all designations. When love for Krishna is awakened, the designative positions are overcome. The spontaneous attraction of Sri Krishna for his dearest parts and parcels generates an enthusiasm that obliges Sri Krishna and the gopis to meet together. To celebrate this transcendental enthusiasm, there is need of a sentiment of separation between the lover and the beloved. In the condition of material tribulation, no one wants the pangs of separation. But in the transcendental form, the very same separation, being absolute in its nature, strengthens the ties of love and enhances the desire of the lover and beloved to meet. The period of separation evaluated transcendentally is more relishable than the actual meeting, which lacks the feelings of increasing anticipation because the lover and beloved are both present. So here, verse number 1.4.28. हे सब रस निधियास करिब आस्वाद, हे द्वारे करिब सब भक्त तेरे प्रसाद. Hey, these sub all rasa nidyas, essence of mellows. Kariba I shall do, aswada testing, hey dware. By this Kariba I shall do, saba all, bhaktera to the devotees, prasad favor. I shall test the essence of all these rasas, and in this way I shall favor all the devotees. ब्रजेर निर्मल राग शुनि भक्तगण राग मार्गे भजे जना छाड़ी धर्म कर्म निष्ठा धर्मे नास्ता धर्मेण वसुनिचे नैव कामोपभोगे यद्भाव्यं तद्भवतु भगवान् पूर्वकर्मानुरूपम् एतत् प्रार्थ्यं मम बहुमतं जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि तत्पादाम्भोरुह युगल युगगता निश्चला भक्तिरस्तु. Brajera of Raja, Nirmal, spotless, Raga, love. Shuni, Bhakta Dharma to the devotees. Raga Marge, on the path of spontaneous love, Bhaje, they worship Jena, so that Chadi, giving up dharma, religiosity, karma, fruity activity. Then, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Braja, devotees will worship me on the path of spontaneous love, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Many realized souls, such as Raghunatha Goswami and King Kulashekar, have recommended with great emphasis that one develops the spontaneous love of Godhead, even at the risk of transgressing all the traditional codes of morality and religiosity. Sri Raghunatha Goswami, one of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, has written in his prayers called the Manas Shiksha that one should simply worship Radha and Krishna with all attention. Na dharma, na dharmam, na dharmam, shuddhigana niraktam kilaguru. One should not be much interested in performing Vedic rituals or simply following rules and regulations. King Kulashekar has written similarly in his book Mugindavada Stotra. नास्ता धर्मेण वसुनिचये नैव कामोपभोगे यद्भाव्यं तद्भवतु भगवन् पूर्वकर्मानुरूपम् एतत् प्रार्थ्यं मम बहुमतं जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि तत्पादाम्बोरुयुगगता निश्चला भक्तिरस्तु. I have no attraction for performing religious rituals or holding any earthly kingdom. I do not care for sense enjoyments. Let them appear and disappear in accordance with my previous deeds. My only desire is to be fixed in devotional service to the lotus feet of the Lord, even though I may continue to take birth here, life after life. So, verse number 30. Anugrahaya bhaktanam manusam dehamashita bhajate tadrushi kridaya shutva tatpara bhavet रूप रघुनाथ पदे हईबे आकुति कबयामा पूजा भसे जुगला पीति. Anugrahaya, for showing favor, Bhaktanam, to the devotees, Manusham, human like, Deham, body, Ashita, accepting, Bhajate, he enjoys, Tadrishi, such, Kridaha, pastimes, Yaha, which, Shutva, having heard, Tatparaha, fully intent upon him, Bhavit, one must become. Krishna manifests his eternal human-like form and performs his pastimes to show mercy to the devotees. Having heard such pastimes, one should engage in service to him. This text is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10 Canto 33 Chapter 36. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form who eternally exist in the spiritual world. This material world is only a perverted reflection of the spiritual world, where everything is manifested without inebriety. There, everything is in its original existence, free from the domination of time. Time cannot deteriorate or interfere with the conditions in the spiritual world, where different manifestations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are the recipients of the worship of different living entities in their constitutional spiritual positions. In the spiritual world, all existence is unadulterated goodness. The goodness found in the material world is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. The saying that the human form of life is the best position for devotional service has its special significance because only in this form can a living entity revive his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The human form is considered the highest state in the cycle of the species of life in the material world. If one takes advantage of this highest kind of material form, one can regain his position of devotional service to the Lord. Incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead appear in all the species of life, although this is inconceivable to the human brain. The Lord's pastimes are differentiated according to the appreciating capacity of the different types of bodies of the living entities. The Supreme Lord bestows the most merciful benediction upon human society when he appears in his human form. It is then that humanity gets the opportunity to engage in different kinds of eternal service to the Lord. Special natural appreciation of the descriptions of a particular pastime of Godhead indicates the constitutional position of a living entity. Adoration, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love are the five primary relationships with Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of the conjugal relationship, enriched with many sentiments, gives the maximum relishable mellows to the devotee. The Lord appears in different incarnations as a fish, tortoise, and boar, as Parshuram, Lord Ram, Buddha, and so on, to reciprocate the different appreciations of living entities in different stages of evolution. The conjugal relationship of amorous love called Parakya Rasa is the unparalleled perfection of love exhibited by Lord Krishna and his devotees. A class of so-called devotees known as Sahajiyas try to imitate the Lord's pastimes, although they have no understanding of the amorous love in his expansions of pleasure potency. Their superficial imitation can create havoc on the path um, for the advancement of one's spiritual relationship with the Lord. Material sexual indulgence can never be equated with spiritual love, which is in unalterated goodness. The activities of the Sahajiya simply lower one deeper into the material contamination of the senses and mind. Krishna's transcendental pastimes display eternal servitorship to Adhokshaja, the Supreme Lord who is beyond all conceptions through material senses. Materialistic conditioned souls do not understand the transcendental exchange of love, and they like to indulge in sense gratification in the name of devotional service. The activities of the Supreme Lord can never be understood by irresponsible persons who think the pastimes of Radha and Krishna to be ordinary affairs. The rasa dance is arranged by Krishna's internal potency, Yoga Maya, and it is beyond the grasp of the materially affected person. Trying to throw mud into transcendence with their perversity, the Sahajiyas misinterpret the sayings Tat Paratven Nirmalam and Tat Paro Bhavet by misinterpreting Tadrushi Krida. They want to indulge in sex while pretending to imitate Lord Krishna. But one must actually understand the importance of the words to the intelligence of the authorized Goswamis. Srinatram Das Thakur, in his prayers to the Goswamis, has explained his inability to understand such spiritual affairs. Rupa Raghumata Pade Haribe Akuti Kabe Ababuja Base Jugala Piriti. When I shall be able to understand the literature given by Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental love affairs of Radha and Krishna. In other words, unless one is trained under the disciplic succession of the Goswamis, one cannot understand Radha and Krishna. The conditioned souls are naturally averse to understanding the spiritual existence of the Lord. And if they try to know the transcendental nature of the Lord's pastimes while they remain absorbed in materialism, they are sure to blunder like the Sahajiyas. भवेत क्रिया विधि लिंग से हाकाय कर्तव्यावश्यई अन्यथा प्रत्यवाय भवेत भवेत kriya, the words vidhi linga, an injunction of the imperative mood, say that, iha, here, kaya, says, kartavya, to be done, avashya, certainly, a, this, anyatha, otherwise, pratyavaya, detriment. Here the use of the word bhavet, which is in the imperative mood, tells us that this certainly must be done. Non-compliance would be abandonment of duty. The imperative is applicable to pure devotees. Neophytes will be able to understand these affairs only after being elevated by regulative devotional service under the expert guidance of the spiritual master. Then they too will be competent to hear the love affairs of Radha and Krishna. As long as one is in the material condition life, strict discipline is required in the matter of moral and immoral activities. The absolute world is transcendental and free from such distinctive activities. The absolute world is transcendental and free from such distinctions because their inability is not possible. But in this material world, a sexual appetite necessitates distinction between moral and immoral conduct. There are no sexual activities in the spiritual world. The transactions between the lover and the beloved in the spiritual world are purely transcendental love and unalterable bliss. One who has not been attracted by the transcendental beauty of rasa will certainly be dragged down into material attraction. thus to act in material contamination and progress to the darkest region of hellish life. But by understanding the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, one is freed from the grip of attraction to material so called love between man and woman. Similarly, one who understands the pure parental love of Nanda and Yashoda for Sri Krishna will be saved from being dragged into material parental affection. One who accepts Krishna as the supreme friend, the attraction of material friendship will be finished for him, and he will not be dismayed by so called friendship with mundane wrangles. If he is attracted by the submittership of Krishna, he will no longer have to serve the material body in the degraded status of material existence, with the false hope of becoming master in the future. Similarly, one who sees the greatness of Krishna in neutrality will certainly never again seek the so-called relief of impersonalist or widist philosophy. If one is not attracted by the transcendental nature of Krishna, one is sure to be attracted to material enjoyment, thus to become implicated in the clinging network of virtuous and sinful activities, and continue material existence by transmigration from one material body to another. Only Krishna consciousness can achieve the highest perfection of life. এই বাঞ্ছা যে শ্রী কৃষ্ণ প্রাকট্য করিয়ে কারণা আসুর সংহার आनुषंग प्रयोजन मत चैतन्य कृष्ण पूर्ण भगवान युग धर्म प्रवर्तन रहे तांद्र काम a this vancha desire jaiche just as Krishna, Lord Krishna prakatya for the manifestation karana reason asura samhara the killing of demons anushanga secondary prayojana reason mata like this, Chaitanya, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Purna, full, Bhagavana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yuga Dharma, the religion of the age, Pravartana, initiating, Nahe is not, Tandra of him, Kama, the desire. Just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity. So, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the drama of the age is incidental. कोण कारण कारणे जबे हैल अवतार मन युग धर्म काल हैल से काले मिलन कोण कारणे by some reason jabe when haila there was avatare in incarnation mana inclination yuga dharma for the religion of the age kal at the time haila there was sakale sekale at the time milana conjunction. When the Lord desired to appear for another reason, the time for promulgating the religion of the age also arose. दुई हेतु अवतारी लया भक्त गण आपने आस्वादे प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन दुई two hetu reasons avatari incarnating laya taking bhakta gana the devotees apane himself aswade taste prema love of God Nama Sankirtana and congregational chanting of the holy name. Thus, with two intentions, the Lord appeared with his devotees and tested the nectar of prema with the congregational chanting of the holy name. সেই দ্বারে আচণ্ডালে কীর্তন সঞ্চারে নাম প্রেম মালা গাঁঠি পরাইলা সবারে Thus he spread kirtan even among the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema with which he garlanded the entire material world. এই মত ভক্ত ভাব করি অঙ্গীকার আপনি আচার্য ভক্তি করিলা প্রচার এই মত like this bhakta bhava the position of a devotee kari making angikar acceptance apani himself achari practicing bhakti devotional service karila did prachara propagation in this way assuming the sentiment of a devotee He preached devotional service while practicing it himself. When Rupa Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, Allahabad, he offered his respectful obeisances by submitting that Lord Chaitanya was more magnanimous than any other avatar of Krishna because he was distributing love of Krishna. His mission was to enhance love of Godhead. In the human form of life, the highest achievement is to attain the platform of love of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya did not invent a system of religion as people sometimes assume. Religious systems are meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached by the cosmic order supply. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental mission is to distribute love of Godhead to everyone. Anyone who accepts God as the supreme can take to the process of chanting the Hare Krishna and become a lover of God. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. This beneficent broadcasting of devotional service is possible by is only by Krishna himself. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has taught the philosophy of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who has surrendered to the Supreme Lord can make further progress by learning how to love. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement propagated by Lord Chaitanya is especially meant for those who are cognizant of the presence of the Supreme Godhead, the ultimate controller of everything. His mission is to teach people how to dovetail themselves into integrations of transcendental loving service. He is Krishna teaching his own service from the position of a devotee. The Lord's acceptance of the role of a devotee in the eternal form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another of the Lord's worshipful features. Is another of the Lord's wonderful. So, the intention of Lord Chaitanya is to taste Krishna's sweetness in transcendental love. He does not care to think of himself as Krishna because he wants the position of Radharani. We should remember this. A class of so-called devotees called Nadiya Nagaris or Gaura Nagaris pretend that they have the sentiment of gopis towards Lord Chaitanya, but they do not realize that he placed himself not as the enjoyer, Krishna, but as the enjoyed, the devotee of Krishna. The concoctions of unauthorized persons pretending to be bona fide have not been accepted by Lord Chaitanya. Presentations such as those of the Gaura Nagaris are only disturbances to the sincere execution of the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is undoubtedly King Krishna himself, and he is always non-different from Srimati Radharani. But the emotional, but the emotion technically called Vipralamba Bhav, which the Lord adopted for confidential reasons, should not be disturbed in the name of service. A maintainer should not unnecessarily indulge into affairs of transcendence and thereby displease the Lord. One must always be on guard against this sort of devotional anomaly. Lord is not meant to create disturbance to Krishna. As Sri Rupa Goswami has explained, devotional service is anukullena, favorable to Krishna. Acting unfavorably towards Krishna is not devotion. Kamsa was the enemy of Krishna. He always thought of Krishna, but the thought of him as an enemy. One should always avoid such unfavorable so-called service. Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position as Swarup Damodar did in the Gambira, the local room where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gauranagaris who place Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer and themselves as is enjoyed are not approved by the Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. Instead, in times being blessed, the foolish imitators are left completely apart. Their, con- their concoctions are against the principle of the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The doctrine of transcendental enjoyment by Lord Krishna cannot be mixed with the other doctrines uh, or transcendental feelings of separation and awe. Mm. In the role of Radharani. So let's stop here today. We are coming to the text number 37. So next time on next Friday we'll read this 1.4.37. Please note it. दास्य सख्य वात्सल्य आर जय श्रृंगार चारी प्रेम चतुर्विधा भक्तर अधिकार हरे कृष्ण निताय गौर प्रेमानंद वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च प्रदानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः धन्यवाद हरे कृष्ण